Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Sun and Moon Movesets video. Today's video is going to be all about the new Pokemon Tapu Koko, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Tapu Koko is a new Electric Fairy type Pokemon that has access to one of the 4 new terrain-inducing abilities in the game, all given to the Guardian Deity Pokemon. For Tapu Koko, it gets Electric Surge, which when it enters the battle, creates an electric terrain on the battlefield, which prevents Pokemon from falling asleep, as well as powers up electric-type moves used by any Pokemon on the field while this ability is in effect. As for its hidden ability though, it is known as Telepathy, which is an ability that allows this Pokemon to not be damaged by its teammates' attacks in a double battle. But for its stats, this Pokemon has base 70 HP, 85 defense, and 75 special defense, which makes it pretty frail overall, but its offenses are pretty fantastic, with base 115 physical attack, 95 special attack, and then base 130 speed, making it incredibly fast, and with all of its attacks on the electric side being powered up by the electric terrain, Tapu Koko is one of the most threatening, quick attackers that were introduced into Pokemon Sun and Moon. So with that, let's take a look at the first moveset that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, we're going to begin by giving Tapu Koko a timid nature to increase its speed but lower its physical attack, and then making use of an EV spread that includes giving it 252 special attack EVs, 4 special defense EVs, and 252 speed EVs to give it its max special attack and speed possible. As for the item, we can either go with the Choice Specs to power up all of your special attacks while locking you into a move, a Choice Scarf to power up your speed by making you quite a bit faster while also locking you into a move, a Life Orb to increase the damage of all of your attacks at the cost of losing 10% of your health every time you damage your opponent, an Expert Belt to boost the power of super effective moves, Leftovers to allow this Pokemon to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn, a Terrain Extender to allow this Pokemon to extend the turns of electric terrain once it comes in due to the Electric Surge ability from 5 to 8, or making use of a Z Crystal that corresponds to one type of attack on the set to give you a one-time only super powerful variation of that move. But for the moves, the first one that we're going to go with on this set is going to be your main stab electric attack in the form of either Thunderbolt or Thunder, both of these dealing increased damage due to the electric terrain being on the battlefield when this Pokemon comes in. Thunder being also a really great option if you were to use this Pokemon alongside a rain team. But for its fairy type stab, we're going to be going with Dazzling Gleam to be a strong fairy special attacking option for this Pokemon. As for your third move, there are quite a few options to go with that allow it to deal a little bit better with a number of counters that could easily come in and take Tapu Koko's stab. So HP Ice is going to be fantastic to allow this Pokemon to have a strong Ice type attack, to allow it to deal with the ground type Pokemon that would easily be immune to your electric moves. Hidden Power Fire can be especially useful against things like Ferrothorn, and Hidden Power Ground can be especially useful versus things such as Heatran, among others. Grass Knot is also a really great option to allow this Pokemon to have a reliable way to deal with ground types, and also you could run the signature Guardian Deity move in Nature's Madness, which is a move that basically works the same as Super Fang, and that it halves your opponent's HP stat, which can be essential for allowing this Pokemon to potentially net a kill on something that would normally have to weaken significantly with one of its other attacks. But for the last move on the set, we're either going to run Volt Switch or U-Turn to give this Pokemon a way to reliably switch in and out of the battle, possibly allowing its teammates to take advantage of the electric terrain, and also doing a little bit of damage in the process. And even though U-Turn is an option here, Volt Switch obviously will be stronger when boosted by electric terrain, but U-Turn cannot be blocked by a ground-type Pokemon or a Pokemon that possesses an immunity to electric-type attacks, so it might be worth going with even though it is not a stab electric move that would be boosted by electric terrain. Now on the physical side of things, Tapu Koko can also run a very similar offensive moveset. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Jolly Nature to boost its speed but lower its special attack, and then run a physically offensive EV spread of 252 attack EVs, 4 special defense EVs, and 252 speed EVs. As for the item, this time we're going to include a Choice Band here over Choice Specs to power up your physical attacks considerably, and then use the similar options of a Choice Scarf, a Life Orb, an Expert Belt, Leftovers, a Terrain Extender, or a Z Crystal like in the previous set, to correspond to the type of set you want to run on this Pokemon. But for the moves, this time our main electric type attack is going to be in the form of Wild Charge, which is going to be a powerful physical electric move that will also be boosted by the electric terrain, and also deal a little bit of recoil every time you damage your opponent, which is something to keep in mind, which is also actually an interesting trait that corresponds to the second move on the set, which is Brave Bird, which is a really awesome coverage move that this Pokemon has access to, because it not only allows this Pokemon to be able to deal with grass types more effectively that would easily be able to switch in on your electric moves, but it also just gives you a fantastic coverage option in general because the flying typing is such a great offensive typing. For your third attack though, we're either going to go with Nature's Madness to give us Pokemon that Super Fang to basically half your opponent's HP, or we can go with Quick Attack here to allow this Pokemon to have a decent priority move to make use of, to allow it to be a pretty awesome revenge killer as well. But for the last move on the set, we're either going to go with Volt Switch and U-Turn like before to give us Pokemon that maneuverability around the battlefield that it so desires in the form of either a special electric attack or a physical bug move. So either or with this set works very well for allowing this Pokemon to gain some switch initiative and properly counter its opponent's switch-ins. As for this next move set, we're going to be running a very interesting support set for Tapu Koko to make use of. So again, we're going to go the special route by giving it a Timid Nature and 252 EVs into its special attack, 4 into its special defense, and 252 EVs into its speed. But for this set, the items that we're going to be using are going to be leftovers to allow this Pokemon to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn, or the Light Clay item to extend the turns of Light Screen and Reflect, which are going to be the first two moves on this set to boost your team's ability to take physical and special attacks. Now typically dual screening is reserved for more defensive Pokemon. However, because this Pokemon is so ridiculously fast and has access to a pretty decent typing that doesn't really have a ton of weaknesses, you can definitely find a few opportunities to set up either a Light Screen or Reflect, or if given the right opportunity, possibly even both. But in doing this, you're able to essentially allow this Pokemon to fill a more support role on the battlefield that would typically be done by a slower Pokemon that has access to a similar move, essentially giving you a little bit more of an advantage on your opponents, especially also because this Pokemon is so unpredictable in what set it's running. So with this, we're then going to make use of Volt Switch to be your main electric type stab attack on this set, which is going to be boosted by Electric Terrain because of your Electric Surge ability. And then we're also going to run either Nature's Madness to give you that way of having your opponent's HP stat, or running a Roost on this set to allow this Pokemon to recover HP while it continues to attempt to set up screens for a lot of the battle and support its teammates by boosting their defensive stats. Tapu Koko also additionally has the option of running a pretty effective stall breaking set, so to speak. So we're going to start this one off by giving it either a Jolly or Timid Nature to boost its speed but lower its special attack, or boost its speed but lower its physical attack. Basically, if you want to run this set as a physical attacker or a special attacker. So for the EVs, we're going to put 252 EVs into either the physical attack or special attack, and then run 4 into its special defense and 252 EVs into its speed stat. As for the item on this set, we're again going to include leftovers to allow this Pokemon to recover HP at the end of every turn, but the Terrain Extender is going to be your second item option to extend the turns of the electric terrain that will be on the battlefield due to your Electric Surge ability. For the moves on this set though, we're going to begin by giving this Pokemon Taunt as a way to prevent its opponents from using any non-attacking moves, which is essential for allowing this Pokemon to potentially put a stop to any statuses its opponents might be trying to go for, or any entry hazards they're trying to set up, or really anything else that they want to do that is not attacking this Pokemon. But for your main electric stab, again we're going to go specially with Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, or physically with Wild Charge. So do keep in mind all the options that you could potentially run on this set, because both will work for the physical or special variants. For the main fairy type move though, we're going to go with Dazzling Gleam to be obviously for the special set, or Nature's Madness, which can work on either the special or physical set. And then if you're going the physical side, you can also run Brave Bird as a way to give you that really great flying coverage as mentioned previously, or U-Turn as a way to give this Pokemon a reliable way to switch in and out of battle while dealing a little bit of bug type damage in the process. Furthermore, for this third move slot, we can also include Thunder Wave to allow this Pokemon a way to paralyze opponents, thus crippling their speed and making it so that they occasionally do not attack, which is essential for allowing this Pokemon to potentially take advantage of its opponents and also support its teammates that might be slower than Tapu Koko. Finally, for the last move slot, we're again going to include Nature's Madness and U-Turn for the reasons stated previously, and then also have a Roost as an option here to allow this Pokemon to recover HP while it attempts to harass its opponents with a barrage of taunts, as well as allowing it to just consistently switch in and out of battle and be a nuisance to its opponent's team. As for this next moveset, and really the last two movesets of this video, we're going to be running a boosting Tapu Koko. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a timid nature to boost its speed but lower its physical attack, and then going with the specially offensive EV spread you've already seen a few times on the set video, with 252 special attack EVs, 4 special defense EVs, and 252 speed EVs. As for the item, we're either going to go with leftovers to recover HP at the end of every turn, a life orb to boost the damage of all of your attacks at the cost of losing 10% of your health every time you damage your opponent, or a Lumberry to allow this Pokemon to not be statused once by its opponents, which can be very useful in allowing it to effectively sweep teams after it is set up. But for the setup move of choice on the set, we're going to be going with Calm Mind to allow this Pokemon to boost its special attack and also its special defense by 1 stage, and then making use of Thunderbolt to be your main electric stab and Dazzling Gleam to be your main fairy type stab. For your last move though, we're either going to run Hidden Power Ice, Hidden Power Fire, or Hidden Power Ground to again give this Pokemon additional type coverage to allow it to deal with a number of its opponents that could potentially easily switch in on one of its sets depending upon the hidden power it's running. Again, Hidden Power Ice being particularly effective versus ground type Pokemon, Hidden Power Fire being effective versus grass type Pokemon like Ferrothorn, and Hidden Power Ground being really good versus Heatran and also Alolan Marowak, which is a pretty great switch into this Pokemon more often than not. But lastly, for an additional option on the set, we can run Substitute to allow this Pokemon to get behind a protective barrier to shield it from attacks and statuses while it attempts to set up, or go with Roost to allow this Pokemon to recover off any damage it might have received while it's attempting to set up, and thus make it even easier to deal with its opponents after it has regained its HP and then can fire off with boosted attacking stats. Now there is another additional way that you can run this set which makes Tapu Koko a little bit more bulky. So for this variant, we're going to begin by giving Tapu Koko a bold nature to increase its physical defense but lower its physical attack, and then make use of an EV spread that includes giving it 252 HP EVs to max that out, 124 EVs into its physical defense to boost that up by quite a bit, and then running 132 EVs into its speed stat to allow this Pokemon to outspeed base 100 speed Pokemon. Now you can also choose to invest more in speed if you would like, to allow this Pokemon to obviously still be a very fast Pokemon, but I chose base 100 as a pretty just decent margin to want to outspeed things for. Feel free to use more if you would like. But for the items on this set, Leftovers and a Lumberry are going to be included like before, but the main selling point of this variant is that we're actually going to go with the Electric Seed item, which is a new item introduced into Pokemon Sun and Moon that will boost a Pokemon's physical defense by 1 stage if the effect of the terrain is an electric terrain, essentially allowing this Pokemon to not only boost its physical defense to make it difficult to take down from the physical side, but also then in turn boosting its special defense and special attack through the use of Calm Mind. Now the moves on this set obviously do not change because we're going to still go with Thunderbolt and Dazzling Gleam to be your main electric and fairy type stabs, and running either a Hidden Power in the last move slot or Substitute or Roost to allow this Pokemon again to have a little bit of an easier time setting up versus its opponents. But Roost is particularly more effective on the set in the last attack as an option because, again, you're going to be boosting your physical and special defense if you go with the Electric Seed, so it allows this Pokemon a reliable way to set up on a lot of things and retain its HP while it attempts to sweep. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video on Tapu Koko, which is definitely one of the most powerful and speedy attackers introduced into Pokemon Sun and Moon. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always everybody, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.